All right, welcome. So if you're ready to really level up your testing career and jump into a role that's way more about coding, well, you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we're going to break down a super actionable roadmap to make that leap from test engineer to a software development engineer in test, or as you know, an SDET. So maybe you feel like you've hit a bit of a plateau, right? Or maybe you're just hungry for a role where you're not just finding problems, but you're actually building and architecting the solutions to prevent them. If that sounds like you, if you're feeling that ambition, then this is for you. We're going to turn that feeling into a concrete plan.
So what's the real difference here? Well, think of it like this. A senior test engineer a lot of the time is focused on validating what's already been built, maybe doing some light automation. But an SDE is a builder. The focus completely shifts to being coding-centric. Your role changes from validator to architect. And honestly, the growth potential, it's just way higher and faster. It's a fundamental shift, for sure. And here's the best part. This isn't some vague, fuzzy concept. There's a clear, structured path to get from here to there. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through it step by step so you know exactly what to learn and, just as importantly, when to learn it.
Okay, first things first. We have got to build the foundation. Section 1 is all about mastering those core technical skills you're going to need.
Let's be super clear about this. I mean, crystal clear. There are no shortcuts here. The absolute, non-negotiable starting point for this whole transition is getting solid programming skills. You're not just writing little scripts anymore. You're engineering software that tests other software. It's a different ballgame.
So where do you even begin, right? Well, let's look at the big three languages in test automation. You've got Java, which is still a total powerhouse, especially for those big, established Selenium frameworks. Then there's Python. It's incredibly versatile, and it really shines in areas like API testing and even some of the newer machine learning-assisted testing. And of course, for all the modern front-end tech, JavaScript or TypeScript with tools like Playwright and Cypress is absolutely the way to go.
But just picking a language, that's only step one. Inside that language, you've got to master the key concepts. Things like object-oriented programming, or OOP, are what help you write code that's modular and reusable. Understanding data structures, knowing how to handle exceptions gracefully, and managing file input and output, that's what turns your scripts into robust, professional programs.
All right, so once you've got that coding foundation locked down, it's time to actually apply it. And you do that by mastering the industry-standard tools that bring all that awesome code to life.
For web automation, these are the names you have to know. You've got Selenium, which is kind of the long-reigning champ, right? But these modern tools like Playwright and Cypress are gaining massive traction, and for good reason. They often offer faster execution and a much more developer-friendly experience. Knowing at least one of these inside and out is absolutely critical.
And hey, we can't forget about the back end. A modern SDET can't just live on the UI. You've got to be super comfortable testing APIs. If you're a Java person, rest assured is a total go-to. Postman is an amazing tool for both manual and automated checks, and of course, you can always use the native HTTP libraries in languages like Python or JavaScript to get full granular control.
Okay, so you've got the core skills down. But here's the thing. A great SDET doesn't work in a vacuum. So Section 2 is all about taking your work and plugging it right into the development pipeline.
This is where your value just explodes. It's when your automated tests become this seamless, automatic part of the development process. We're talking about the world of CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. Your entire goal becomes providing fast, reliable feedback every single time a developer commits new code.
So let's paint a picture of how this all actually works, right? A developer pushes some code to Git. A tool like Jenkins or GitHub Actions sees that change and automatically kicks off a whole process. It spins up a perfectly clean test environment using something like Docker, and then, and this is your moment to shine, it executes your entire automated test suite. That is DevOps in action.
And that brings us to the next big level up. See, you're not just writing individual test scripts anymore. The real goal is to become an architect. Someone who designs and builds the entire system, the framework that lets the whole team test things efficiently and at scale.
And to build a really great framework, you need to know these key ingredients. The Page Object Model, or POM, is a design pattern that keeps your test code clean and super maintainable. Data-driven approaches let you run the same test with hundreds, even thousands of different inputs. And then you have things like advanced reporting and running tests in parallel.
That's what makes your framework truly enterprise grade.
All right, so you've nailed the core skills. You get the whole pipeline thing. Now what? How do you really stand out from the pack? Section 3 is all about those advanced skills that are going to give you a serious edge in the job market.
Look, the world of testing is moving fast. You got to keep up. Understanding how to run your tests in cloud environments like AWS or Azure, that's quickly becoming a standard expectation. Using services like BrowserStack to test on tons of different browsers is a huge efficiency win. And keeping your eye on emerging stuff like AI-assisted testing, performance, and security, well, that's what will make you an absolutely invaluable asset to any team.
So how do you prove you know this stuff? Well, certifications can be a fantastic way to do just that. They line up really nicely with different focus areas, from core automation with something like ISTQB, all the way to cloud integration with an AWS cert. These can give your credibility a serious boost.
Okay, theory is awesome, but at the end of the day, you gotta prove you can actually do the work. This final section is arguably the most important one, turning all that knowledge into tangible, undeniable proof for employers.
I mean, this quote right here, it says everything. A certification on your resume is good, but a project that you can actually open up and walk a hiring manager through, that is pure gold. They want to see what you've actually built.
So, what does that actually look like? Let's get concrete. Build a complete automation framework from scratch. I'm talking one that tests a web app, its APIs, and is fully plugged into a CI/CD pipeline. Or, hey, contribute to an open source testing tool you love to use. And most importantly, put all of it on a professional, well-documented GitHub repository. That becomes your new resume.
And just remember, it is not all about the code. Your technical skills, your coding, your framework knowledge, that's what gets you the interview. But it's the soft skills, mentoring junior folks, communicating clearly with developers, participating in code reviews, that's what gets you the senior role and sets you up to be a leader.
Whew! We've covered a ton of ground, so let's pull all of this together into one single comprehensive roadmap that you can actually use.
You know, seeing this whole journey laid out on a timeline like this, it makes a huge goal feel so much more doable, right? In those first 6 months, just focus on coding. By the end of year 1, your goal is to have built a framework. By year 2, you're deep into CI/CD, cloud tech, and building that all-important portfolio. Just remember, this isn't an overnight flip of a switch. It's a dedicated journey, but a totally achievable one. Look, if there is only one thing you take away from all this, let it be this pro tip right here. The real leap, the thing that makes the difference, happens when you master 3 key areas: rock-solid coding, the ability to architect scalable frameworks, and knowing how to plug it all into a CI/CD pipeline. That is the core of the SDET role. So, we've laid out the entire map for you, the whole journey. You know what they say, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Looking at everything we've covered, what's your first step going to be?